नमस्कार, मेरा नाम है राजीव बजाज, ये न्यूयॉर्क के भी, और मैं हूँ इस वक्त एडवोकेट प्रदीप नंबियार जी के साथ. प्रदीप जी नमस्कार.
नमस्कार सर, नमस्कार.
वेलकम टू दिस स्पेशल शो ऑन नेशन नाउ. नेशन नाउ के स्पेशल शो में आप सब लोगों का स्वागत है. आप सबको जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र, जय भवानी, जय शिवाजी, वंदे मातरम.
वंदे मातरम.
इस वक्त हमारे साथ हैं मेरे बहुत ही पुराने दोस्त and one of the most brilliant directors that Hindi cinema has ever seen. That's my opinion, of course. It is Ananth Mahadevan Saab. Ananth Mahadevan Saab is वक्त हमारे साथ हैं. प्रदीप जी.
Yes.
I'm really and truly proud of the fact that I've got Ananth Mahadevan over here. The last time I think I interviewed him for television was in Sahara, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That was a long time.
Yes. I remember your association.
Yes. So let's go straight across to him without further ado. Award-winning director, one of the best writers that I know, and his best-selling book, by the way, Once Upon a Prime Time, is available right now, still available on Amazon and everywhere else. You can actually go and pick it up. It is the history of how media in the country changed, how television changed, how movies changed, and how the entire advertising business changed. Do remember, Ananth Mahadevan was an advertising executive, and from there he wrote, and by the way, I'm very proud to say he wrote for me as well, in the Daily. When I was the editor of the Daily,
okay.
He was my film reviewer and theatre reviewer. Let's go straight across to Ananth. Ananth Saab, namaskar.
Namaskar, good evening.
How are you, sir? How are you?
And good evening.
Looking very dapper. Your usual dapper Paul Mooney-esque self, which is fantastic. How have you been? I just saw your post where you presented your book, I think, to Ruskin Bond. Is that correct?
Right.
You met him the other day?
We were shooting in Dehradun, and I sort of drove over to Missouri, and thanks to a dear friend, a common friend, I managed to climb those wonderful steep steps leading up to his house in Missouri, in Landor, and I met the man himself, the legend himself.
Yes.
And I was happy that he spoke for an hour, and I absorbed a lot of knowledge from him.
Fantastic.
And I very humbly presented my book to him. But he said that he likes television a lot, and he is interested in films and television, and he'd like to read the book. So there I was fortunate enough to sort of be on the same wavelength with him. And he presented.
And by the way, I feature in the book. Let me tell you this to everybody. I also feature in the book. There are
yes,
about 2.5 pages of mine.
You feature in a very major way in my life, because you're the man who discovered me. You're the man who let me write for the Daily when you were the editor, and my what one would call film appreciation session started with reviews in the Daily.
That's right.
And went on to becoming movies later. So thank you very much, and I owe you one.
Fantastic. I love hearing that, by the way, especially about the Daily. The Daily was an institution. Oh God.
Yes.
You know, I offered to buy it. I told these guys, please sell it to me. They wouldn't sell it to me. Can you believe it? I said, let me buy it. I'll revive it. I don't know what's up with these owners. You've dealt with people like that all your life. You've dealt with businessmen and other people who would rather allow a thing to die than give it to somebody else. I mean,
well, I have faced this. When we were shooting a film, I used the Mitchell camera, which we loaned from the RK studios.
Yes.
And when we shot with the Mitchell camera, I was so fascinated by that camera. I wanted to sort of, keep it as a collector's item in my house. And I requested the officials at RK studios to let me buy it off them.
Yes.
So that I could keep it, but they said no, they would not sell it. And look at the tragedy. There was a fire at RK Studios, and a lot of costumes
and everything burned.
The camera got burnt. So I wish they had just given it to me. I would have given it right back to them for their collection.
I don't see you're very, for people from Kerala, like I'm from Kerala, my forefathers from Kerala, a very fascinating person coming from Thrissur, you coming from Thrissur and making it so well in Mumbai, and especially when Marathi movies are concerned, you've done fantastic. That is something the Keralites would love to know how. Kaise ho gaya? You've got flurry of awards where the Marathi movie is concerned. Now, how was it?
I was fortunate that my parents migrated, not permanently, but temporarily from Thrissur to then Bombay. And I got, I mean, the schooling and the education was a very high standard in Matunga, because that, is the sort of, nest of educational institutions in Bombay. And I took my language subjects seriously, both Hindi and Marathi, where others were just, sort of treating it like some kind of a formality where you just have to, obtain pass marks, 35%. I think, see, that I always realize that nothing ever is wasted when during your younger days, when you sort of, invest in it. And the Marathi that I learned helped me in good stead. And there I am making Marathi films, Hindi films, and maybe, films in my own language, in Malayalam and Tamil. So that sort of, puts me on some kind of, state of advantage, whereas where linguistics are concerned.
Fantastic. Now, could you tell us a bit about how Me Sindhutai Sapkal came about? How did that come about? Since Pradeep ji has talked about, you making Marathi films. That's the film that you got a national award for.
Flurry of awards. I mean,
And it's fantastic. That film itself, standalone, it's a masterpiece. Come to think of it, and so far, in my personal opinion, of course, it has got the appreciation, etc., etc., but hasn't got that feeling of, oh God, look at that. That kind of thing has yet to come for that film. In my personal opinion, it's a brilliant film. How did that come about, Ananth? Please.
There was a supplement in the Times of India which had this headline: "I have 101 daughters and sons-in-law," and I wondered what this was all about. And when I started reading the article, it was about Sindhutai Sapkal, who used to pick up abandoned infants from the
Yes.
street, the girl child from the street, and give them shelter, educate them, and not give them up for adoption, and get them married to educated people, and put them in a very respectable place in society. And I thought this was very interesting, because basically she, at one point of time, attempted suicide twice. And then she realized that, why am I trying to take my own life when I can give a life? And that's when she started picking up abandoned kids from the streets, from railway platforms, from trains, and building an ashram for them. Excuse me. And giving them a life that they would never have imagined. So
Fantastic. So
this was
are you
a
in touch
saga
with
of
her? Is she
survival.
still
This was a
around?
saga of empathy, and such an inspiring tale, which made me make the film. And since she was from Vidarbha, Maharashtra, I thought that Marathi would be the right
Yes.
subject for this film.
She,
Now,
she, she actually landed up in San Jose, where
Oh
she
yes, yes.
where she collected.
She did, yes. And in fact, the film opens with her on a flight to San Jose, to San Francisco. And that was her first flight, the
Fantastic.
first time she ever boarded a
Wow.
flight, and she was
Wow.
petrified.
now we
And
would like to know now
throughout,
how you come into theatre, because you have some family background in theatre, or it was just spontaneous, or your inner movement that took you towards the theatre and films.
I think there again, I think somewhere destiny played a part, because in school and college, every year we used to stage a play. So by the end of school, I had already done 11 plays, although they were just two performances on Parents' Day on a Saturday and Sunday every year. So it was, the training, the grounding that one got in school and college, again, sort of, turned into, wouldn't say a full-fledged profession. I wish theater was as full-fledged a job as it is in the US and the UK. But that's how the love, the affinity for theater came on. And then I took on theater as when I was at in the advertising agency, and when I was writing for the Daily, my evenings were spent entirely at Prithvi Theatre, rehearsing and performing. So, from there till today, I mean, that was 1983, and today we are in 2025 nearly. So it's about 40 years of theatre, and I can still continue to do theatre. I have 4 plays concurrently being staged,
Fantastic.
and so that's how it is.
Fantastic.
No family background. There's no family background. You can say a
No,
family.
no, no, no family background at all. Although my mother was, she played the veena, and I think that was the closest we came
Wow.
to
Do you play
culture
any
and
instrument yourself?
artistry in the family.
Do you play any instrument yourself? Do you?
Unfortunately, no. I wish I had learnt some instrument, but
Wow.
no.
Now you
And I
also
regret
were
that.
in the
Yes.
ad business, right? You were in advertising.
Yes, I mean, after graduation, I went on to joining the advertising agency, and then, of course,
Which agency was it?
journalism. That was Bombay Publicity. Mr. VP Sate, who
Yes,
was
Sate Saab.
Mr. Raj Kapoor's right-hand man, and along
Yes.
with K. Abbas, wrote a lot of his scripts.
Yes, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So the transition from advertising and then of course theatre and then to television. So in television you had lots and lots of roles, isn't it? You were already an established actor in television.
Yeah,
Everybody
1983
remembers
again,
you.
when I started doing theatre, and Sai Paranshri happened to see one of my plays. It was a play based on, The Good Doctor by Neil Simon. And she saw that, and she thought I was appropriate for a part in Ados Pados, which was one of the first serials to have come on air in the first week of commercial television in
Yes.
India. And then on, I mean, it sort of caught up, a lot of actors, a lot of directors. And those days, like I wrote in my book, film directors used to make television, not executive producers. So
Yes.
we were exposed to the style of cinema on television, and that was a great
But at
education for
that
me
time,
too
Anand
as an actor.
Mahadevan, we've had this conversation before. At that
Yes.
time, if you remember, most of the innovation in the visual medium was coming from television, not from film. Films at that time were formula films. Whereas, as the late Yash Chopra said, that once when he was crossing Juhu, he saw these posters of all these films where they were the same heroes, all holding different types of weapons.
Right,
But innovation was coming from television.
Yeah, no,
And
we
then
did have, I mean, if I may interrupt, we did have a lot of very interesting world-class filmmakers, whether it was in Bengal, Satyajit Ray, Mrinal Sen, and Ritvik Ghatak, or in the South, Adur Gopalakrishnan, Arvindan, or even in Hindi, we've had V. Shantaram, Bimal Roy, and the others.
yes.
But the formula reigned in those days as it's doing even today, unfortunately.
Yes,
And
we'll get to that.
it was
So
interesting to
we'll get
know
to that.
that
But by
filmmakers tried
that
to
time,
adapt to a smaller medium and succeeded in a big
yes.
way.
So, but by that time, if you remember, you were part of it, kind of. Shyam Benegal had already come in. Govind had started to make his
Right.
presence felt, and
Yeah.
so on. But the role that really was your breakthrough role, in my opinion, I could be wrong, was in Tipu Sultan, the Sword of Tipu Sultan. That, my God, I mean, I think you became a nationwide, worldwide star. Everybody recognized who this man is. Who's this guy? You know?
See,
So what was that
Purnaya
like?
Pandit in Tipu Sultan actually had a longer role than Tipu Sultan himself, because he started off during Hyder Ali's reign, that
Yes.
was Tipu Sultan's father,
Yes.
and went on to sort of mentoring his sons after Tipu Sultan's death. So Purnaya, right from the age of say 19 to the age of 65, it was quite a range to work on, and I guess that's one of the reasons why the character became so popular.
It was fantastic. And by the way, here I must, Pradeep ji, I must tell you this, and I must tell all our viewers, सब सारे दर्शकों को मैं बता दूं कि आनंद महादेवन साहब ने मुझको अपनी एक पिक्चर में भी डाल दिया था. I have played myself, of course. और पिक्चर का नाम था अगर
Yes.
पिक्चर में दी आरकेबी शो फीचर्स, और वो साहब ने स्टूडियो में शूटिंग करी थी. उसमें श्रेयस तलपड़े साहब थे और तुषार
That's right,
कपूर और
yeah.
I'm so sorry I forgot the name of the girl. I think it was one of
Udita,
those nice
Udita
looking girls.
Goswami, and you played a very, I mean, that scene was very vital because it was a newscaster revealing the news of, an escape from a prison.
Yes.
So, someone watches it on television at the airport, and then, the plot thickens from there. So, I thought, who else, better than you? Because you would do it with such a flair and so spontaneously that I don't even have to tell you what to do.
So thank you so much. But that is my foray into Bollywood, so to speak. So I can always tell everybody, hey, I've actually acted in a Bollywood film.
I want to
लेकिन
know.
प्रदीप जी एक
Yes.
सेकंड, यहाँ पर मैं एक चीज अपने दर्शकों को बताना चाहूंगा. आनंद महादेवन साहब की एक बहुत बड़ी क्वालिटी है, जो जितने भी फाइनेंसर हैं, जितने भी प्रोड्यूसर हैं, सब लोग उसकी दाद देते हैं. कि आनंद महादेवन साहब हमेशा बजट के भीतर रहते हैं. He never goes over budget, always completes a film on time. You must be one of those rarities in Bollywood साहब. मतलब हमेशा आपकी जो पिक्चर है ऑन टाइम होती है, वो माशाल्लाह उसमें जो बजट है ज़बरदस्त होता है. मतलब इनफैक्ट यू सेव ऑन द बजट एट टाइम्स. That's what
No,
I've
it's
been
a
told.
very
Is that
simple
true?
technique. It's very scientific. I call filmmaking the science of art, and my science background has stood me in good stead again here because I actually calculate the time that is required to shoot a film along with all the other paraphernalia and make sure that the number of days that we budget for are not exceeded and the amount is not exceeded. It's a pure calculative process. It's very, very systematic and scientific. And so, if you stick to that and if you follow that particular routine, there's no way you can go wrong. But if you could just go out there onto location and then you start discussions and you want to decide what is to be done and how it is to be done, and you go sort of over budget thanks to all the planning that is not there. So it's pure scientific planning
Pradeep
and
ji.
nothing else.
Ananthi, how was your, how was you playing Bal Gangadhar Tilak? Because Tilak has a huge history behind him, revered in Maharashtra, all kind of political. So was it you needed to go into history, learn about what Tilak, how he walked, talked, moved? How was it?
See, although it was just a three-episoder in the series Sai Baba, I had also played Tilak in Swami Vivekananda, the film that was made by G.V. Iyer many years back. So it was interesting. I had done a lot of that. At that time, G.V. Iyer was very particular about each character that he cast and he sort of worked on. And the kind of man that Tilak was, the kind of temperament that he had, the way he walked, the whole attitude, and the fiery spirit of Tilak was what I tried to capture in both the film and the series. And fortunately, with that, the get up and the mustache, the look was very close to Tilak. So that helped me a lot.
Fantastic. So over here, I have a favorite film. Very frankly, one of your films. It's my favorite film. Very unfortunately, it didn't do that well, but but it's my favorite film because of its disturbing content. It's one of the most disturbing films I've ever seen. And let me confess over here, I couldn't sleep. I don't sleep anyway. But whatever little sleep I get, I was not able to get it for the next 1 week. I saw a film called Bittersweet. Now, that is one of the most shocking subjects, one of the most terrible subjects, and rightfully speaking, it should have been a subject of discussion on all channels, on the entire media, everywhere. Do you think that Bittersweet actually made a difference? Ananth, I'll let you tell it, please.
No, I wouldn't say it made a difference to the women sugarcane workers because the mafia still continues. The hysterectomy, routine still continues, and the workers are kept subjugated and kept under tremendous pressure because their earnings are very meager and they need to resort to this horrendous ritual to sort of fill their coffers. So, but this was the first time a film of was attempted on this subject, hysterectomy in India, and this illegal practice. And for me, as a filmmaker, it suddenly, I was no longer a filmmaker at that point. I got involved when I saw those
Yes.
women crying, when I saw the widows crying, and how they had lost their husbands, and how a lot of goons had entered the house and hacked a lot of people because they did not want to sort of fall in line with their practice. So it's not an easy thing because a lot of corruption happening there. The cops are trying to stop it. The social workers are trying to stop it. But somewhere, there is no closure to this. And every year from the month of October to January, which is the sugarcane
Which is
cutting
now.
season, we get to hear stories about,
Right. And let me explain
this
what this is
practice. Yeah.
about to the viewers who don't know what this is about. Women are
Well,
hired.
women lose out on 4 days of work because of their, their cycles, their menstrual cycles, and some quacks, some doctors actually recommend that they remove the uterus, because the uterus is the source of several diseases. The uterus is the source of their discomfort for 4 days. And 4 days every month for 6 months is 24 days, which is 1 month's work lost and 1 month's wages lost. So they do not want to lose out on that. And so they're coaxed into doing this, and they're convinced into doing this.
So they're
It is
convinced
a
into
very
doing a hysterectomy.
yeah, it's very painful, both mentally and physically.
यस, तो कहने का मतलब ये हुआ कि इन औरतों की हिस्टेरेक्टमी करा दी जाती है कि भाई आपको 24 दिन, वरना आपको सैलरी नहीं मिलेगी, क्योंकि जब आप 4 दिन महीने से हैं तो आपको काम नहीं मिलेगा उस दिन। तो 6 महीने की कटाई होती है, ये शुगर केन का जो सीज़न होता है वो तकरीबन हो गया 24 दिन। तो 24 दिन की सैलरी अगर आपको नहीं मिली, यानी 1 महीने की सैलरी ख़त्म। सो and nobody is doing anything about it, and it's a rampant practice in Maharashtra,
It's
and the sugar
rampant,
lobby
it's a
is
racket,
the most powerful.
and it's one of those sad stories of society where nothing seems to be done, but a lot is spoken about, but eventually no results have come out.
But
And we've got
fantastic,
giant leaders coming
but
from
amazing,
Paschim Maharashtra.
absolutely, and amazing that you did it. That's why I call you one of the most brilliant filmmakers India has ever seen, and I'm very proud to be your friend. Now the other thing, आनंद महादेवन साहब, आज की तारीख में मतलब आप अपने प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में तो बताएंगे, जो अगला प्रोजेक्ट आने वाला है उसके बारे में आप ज़रूर बात कीजिएगा, लेकिन उसके पहले मैं चाहूँगा कि आज की तारीख में जो फिल्में बन रही हैं, जो फिल्में हिट हो रही हैं, अभी वो पुष्पा आई, उसके बाद पुष्पा द रूल आया, और उसके पहले वो जवान, पठान, और क्या था सर,
बहुत सर,
1 2 3 4 ऐसी थी। अब उसमें से कई तो फिल्में ऐसी हैं जो मुझे समझ में नहीं आई, वेरी फ्रैंकली। आई थॉट दीज आर कॉमिक बुक कैरेक्टर्स, हाउ डज वन सीन रिलेट टू द अदर, बट देन मे बी वी आर ओल्ड, I don't know. So did they really make that kind of money? I mean, I doubt it, because you know what happened to me? I went to the PVR cinema. I won't name the film. I went to PVR Juhu, and that film was supposed to have made 1,600 crores odd. अरे यार पूरा हॉल तो खाली पड़ा था। I was there, 5 लोग थे हॉल के अंदर, तो मतलब ये 1,600 करोड़ कहाँ से आ गए? सर बताएं।
Okay, I'll tell you. One, the ticket prices are very, very high. They are
Yes, they
virtually
are.
like impossible, and yet we find people paying 500 and 1,000 and 1,200 rupees. So when they say that there is no money to watch movies, so are they actually storing it for these kind of films? I'm not sure. Secondly, the collections are inflated to almost 1.5 times. But let me tell you now, since that so many cinemas around the world or around India are playing the film, so even if you have just half a house or 1/4 of a house, the cumulative collections almost touch 300 and 400 crores. And most of these films which you mentioned have touched that magic figure. But that is not the point. The point is, are we sort of, drugging the audience? Are we giving them something where they say that, look, we don't have any choice, so we might as well watch these films? Are you sort of, trying to suppress films like Bittersweet? I mean, Bittersweet has still to find a theatrical release. Are you trying to suppress cinema that would make a difference to the world of cinema? And I have no problems against mainstream cinema. If they are the rule, then I am the exception. So why don't you also look at the exceptions?
I wanted to ask you, why Gurudutt was he an inspiration, Gurudutt and Stephen Lang? And if they were, why? What have you learned from that?
Gurudutt, I mean, the cinema of Gurudutt, the cinematography of Gurudutt, the thought of Gurudutt, and the concepts of Gurudutt are in a league of their own. I mean, at some time, many a time, I feel that we've had our best. Our best is behind us, and we have great filmmakers like Gurudutt or Shantaram or Bimal Roy making socially relevant cinema in India. I mean, in Hindi, besides Cham Benegal and Govind Nilani later. And most of these, are you talking about Steven Spielberg? I mean, you mentioned Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang is an actor in Avatar. I think you mean Steven Spielberg. I mean, Spielberg and Gurudutt and all these people, they are inspirations. My education came from watching cinema from all over the world, European, continental, French, Russian, Japanese, and of course, regional Indian cinema. And when I see the masterpieces made by all these greats, immortals of those years, I feel that we are still light years behind cinema. We are not talking the language of cinema yet in India. So whenever some film that breaks the mold and comes across, we are excited that these, and we also want that these films be accepted by the audience and not just restricted to the so-called masses, as the term is called.
So in effect, you're still waiting for your what, Eisenstein or your Tarkovsky. You're still waiting for
I know,
something
I
like
don't know.
that.
When you see the films of Eisenstein and Tarkovsky and all these people, and when you see their subjects, I mean,
Yes,
forget making them, you're not even allowed to think like them over
that's
here.
right.
You're scoffed at and you are shown the door.
Yes.
So it's become very, it's an impossible situation here that even if you get producers, then the producers sometimes cannot stand by the film and, and cannot get an exhibition, you know.
Any film that you are impacted by where Bollywood is concerned? You talk about Guru Dutt and what really inspired you or had an impact on you? That particular movie, any particular movie from Bollywood?
I mean, I wouldn't call that Bollywood. I wouldn't call Guru Dutt Bollywood. I would call him Indian cinema, you know. And of course, Guru Dutt had a great impact on me, and we watch his films as as some kind of a masterclass. So, the word Bollywood, I don't know where it got. I mean, where it germinated from. It's a very funny word, and I don't subscribe to it at all. But if that is one way of mocking the kind of cinema we make, and if it is the kind of insult that I can use without sounding sounding like an insult and abuse, then Bollywood it is.
Yeah,
No,
which movie really inspired you where Indian cinema is concerned?
I'm sorry, there is some other I'm
Which
not able to
movie?
hear you clearly.
Which
There's some
movie?
interruption in between.
Which movie has inspired you where Indian cinema is concerned? An
Oh,
impact.
the old ones. I mean, whether you take Do Bigha Zameen, or whether you take Elipattayam, the entire Apo trilogy by Satyajit Ray, or Mrinal Sen's Megha Katara, or even no Ritwik Ghatak's Megha Katara, or Mrinal
yes.
Sen's films, and Adur Gopal Krishna Arvindan films, Girish Kasravalli's films. These are the films that actually Indian films that have inspired.
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And among the present filmmakers, do you have any favorite?
Unfortunately, no.
Among the present film stars,
I mean, there are interesting actors. I mean, Ranveer Kapoor is a very interesting actor, and given the right kind of part, I think he would carry the Raj Kapoor and Rishi Kapoor legacy forward. Rajkumar Rao is a very interesting actor. So there are interesting actors, but we do not give them
I
subjects
noticed you
that
don't
are,
mention any
worthy
girl.
of their talent.
I noticed you don't mention any actress, even though I know that's not the
No, no.
norm
I
these
mean, I'm
days.
sorry about that. I mean, there are actresses, but right now I don't see any actress. I mean, reaching that level of excellence. We have actresses like Tanishta Chatterjee. We have actresses like Kani Kusruti. I mean, actresses who are not very popular on in so-called popular mainstream cinema, but they are far more superior and far more talented than the names that we have.
Where dialogues are concerned, Indian cinema is concerned, any dialogue that created an impact within you, you always, being in this particular profession, it comes to you automatically on the mind. It leaves a lasting impression where life is concerned.
I think the best lines, I mean, if you call it dialogue, the best lines, the best script was written for Mughal Azam. And I think all the words and all the lines keep reverberating in our
Wow,
mind, because I think
lovely.
that is probably, in terms of, if you call it the most complete entertainment cinema, I mean, I think Mughal Azam ticks all the categories. And I think the
Fantastic.
writing in that film was of very high standard.
Any one dialogue that you remembered nicely, always is in your mind?
I mean, there are so many of them. I can't
You can't
repeat them
recollect. Okay.
verbatim over here, but there are so many of them that you think about them and then you keep playing it in your mind.
Among the
It's that
Hollywood actors, would you name a few? Would you name a few favorites?
Hollywood.
Yes.
Hollywood, I mean, right from the time of, say, Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton and Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. I mean, there's a
I
whole lot
notice you
of them.
don't
I mean,
include Humphrey
Anthony
Bogart.
Hopkins. They bring to their performances such magic that you just keep watching them and studying them and learning from them.
Including
So
Burton. In,
even when Clint Eastwood sort of strides across the screen with that little frown on his
yo.
face, and that even that sort of
And
blows
he's
you over.
working. And he's
So
still working at the age of
Hollywood has got
97.
style and Hollywood has got substance.
And he's working still at the age of 97. Isn't that amazing? Clint Eastwood. Wow.
Yes.
That's absolutely fantastic. So, what's your next work? Anand, what are you doing now? What's your next work?
I am working on the post production of a film called Phule. It's about Jyotiba Phule and Savitribai Phule, India's first social revolutionary couple who changed the entire face of society during British India, where gender discrimination, caste discrimination, the girl child education, and so many other issues came to the fore, and they fought against all odds. And although they may not have sort of carried the war to the victory front, they inspired generations after them to sort of work. Even Ambedkar was inspired by Phule's work. So Phule is the next film that I'm looking forward to. Pratik Gandhi, who played um, uh, in Scam 1992. I mean,
Yes.
he was he was rediscovered in a major way in Scam 1992. He plays the lead. He plays Jyotiba Phule, and Patralekha plays Savitri Bai Phule. So I'm excited about this film because we made it on a very big scale. The visual expanse of the film is huge. So it's somewhere slated for a first half release next year. So
So,
I'm
it's in
looking forward to
Marathi or
that.
is it a Hindi film?
It's a Hindi film, yes.
Wow, it's a Hindi film. Fantastic. Anand, it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much for appearing on our show. Absolutely wonderful. Keep it up. I hope Once Upon a Prime Time Part 2 will also come out.
Yeah,
I
that
hope.
would be the cinema part. This is more of on television. I wish to write about cinema and my experience in
That,
the world of cinema.
that'll be wonderful. That'll be absolutely wonderful. Anand Mahadevan, one of the most brilliant directors and writers and actors that I have known. Thank you very much for
Thank
appearing
you.
on
Thank
Nation
you for
Live.
having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
That was nice. That was really and truly nice. And he's one man who deserves much, much more.
He's done a lot.
Very frankly. And he has never let a producer down, by the way.
Yes.
Never in his life has he ever let a producer down. And just to remind people, I feature in his book, Once Upon a Prime Time. And I also feature in a movie called Agar.
And he gives you all the credit for
Where
picking him up and
he wrote for the Daily.
doing what nobody would do for him.
He wrote for the Daily, and the Daily was an institution, the bulldog of a newspaper. Right, that just about finishes up our special edition tonight. Our main show is of course coming up, and we will see you in just a little while.